Hi everybody, so a big welcome to you all here today. My name is Rachel Leonard and I'm a project officer for post-entry initiatives such as the SAF and mature students in the Access Service. I know this is a very different year for all of us, but firstly I want to congratulate our mature students on your courses and deciding to come back to college. I understand this isn't an easy decision coming in as a mature student, but we are here to help as much as we can. So I'm just going to introduce you now to some of the team and the sports that we have in place. So first up, we have Caroline Bargary of the Access Service. So how are you, Caroline?
Hi, Rachel. How are you today?
Good. So just want to ask you a few questions. So if you could tell me a little bit about the Access Service.
Right. Okay. So Rachel, just I suppose very briefly, the Access Service kind of has two strands. We have a pre-entry part of it, and then we have a post-entry. So the pre-entry looks at working with schools and community groups around initiatives. We'll work with, for example, primary schools and secondary schools. And the post-entry bit is what we're talking about today. So we're talking specifically about the supports that we have for students, and today is the focus, of course, on our new mature students as they come into LIT. So very broadly, that's the Access Service, a very brief description of it.
Lovely, thank you. And could you tell us about some of the financial supports that are available in LIT?
Right, okay, so we have a number of supports available, I suppose, right across the college. In terms of the supports, the main support that we would deliver through the Access Service would be in terms of the Student Assistance Fund. Okay, so there are eligibility criteria for that fund. It's a government fund that has been around for a long time, and LIT have been part of that fund for years. So what I would advise students to do is go onto the LIT website. So at the very top of the LIT website, there are a number of tabs, and one is called Life at LIT. So if you just go down along there, you'll click on, you'll see a number of services, for example, like health and counselling. The Access Service is there as well. So just click on that, and you'll go into a section called Financial Assistance, and all the information there is available on the Student Assistance Fund, and it's going to be opened up very shortly. And my one message, I suppose, Rachel, in terms of financial assistance this year is please keep in touch with our website, because we're updating it all the time. And the second thing I'd like to say is that your student email, checking in with that regularly, is more important than ever.
Absolutely, yeah. So would students be interviewed to receive the SAF?
No. So what happens is everything is online, the application form. So for example, so when you go into the section on the Student Assistance Fund, you will see when it's uploaded. It's not online yet, but it will be very shortly. So you'll click on the application form. You'll fill it up online, and there's also a section there whereby you can upload your documents. So in previous years, we would have had students drop in their documentation into the Access Service or into Anna there in Tipperary. However, this year it's very different, obviously, with COVID. So we're just being extra careful. So everything is online, documentation, everything this year.
Yeah. Handy though as well.
Yeah, exactly.
For them. And the government laptop scheme that's been talked about a lot lately, are LIT involved in this?
They are, yeah. So it was announced there as a support for third levels from the government, and we are involved in it. Actually, the application process for that is opened, but we don't have a laptop for everybody, Rachel. I need to stress that. Again, eligibility criteria. We'd say all the eligibility criteria is actually online. So absolutely, if you feel that you fulfill one of those, please apply for that. And then we'll be in touch with students, the successful applicants around that. Yeah.
And for mature students, would there be any other sports that we should know about?
Okay, so I mentioned, we'll say the assistance fund, and of course the laptop scheme is there as well for students. And there are a number of other things. For example, we have a mature student book lending scheme, so that's operated by the Access Service and the library. Okay. So again, students this year, there's no forms in the library. For students, the form is actually up online, so you fill in the form, and the form then will be just assessed to ensure obviously that you're a mature student, and then it goes to the library. So again, all the details are on the LIT access section of the website about that. So that's just another support. It's supposed to indirectly, excuse me, it's an indirect financial support to students as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Caroline. That's very informative.
Thanks,
So
Rachel.
next up we have Marion Toomey of the Learning. Marion is the Learning Support Manager. So Marion, could you tell us a little bit about the Learning Support Unit?
Hi Rachel, yes of course, I'd be delighted to, and I'd like to welcome you as mature students to LIT. The Learning Support Unit is where you come if you're stuck with any of your subjects in any areas at all. You fill in a form and I'll send you an introduction to your tutor. So that form is on the Learning Support section of the LIT website, which is in Student Services. You go into Student Support in the website and Learning Support, it's fairly obvious. If you have any problems at all, you send an email to lsu@lit.ie, LSU for Learning Support Unit at lit.ie if you have any queries, or you're just, so at any point in your studies, it might not be in the first year, it might be later on, but when you kind of, for example, if you're in art college, social care, and your first essay is a bit daunting, then you can apply for academic writing learning support. Right. And if you have any changes to your request, then you can send me an email.
That's brilliant, Marion. And how many sessions would be of tuition would be offered to students?
In theory, we're budgeted for 4 hours for each student per year. But in practice, because some students will go into groups and everything, you know, so and 10 hours then for students registered with the Disability Office. Okay. But in actual practice, you know, you let us know what you need if you're really stuck in a subject at all. And after your 4 hours is up, if you don't have a reference from one of the student services, then you could get a lecturer, for example, to kind of talk to us on your behalf to get extra hours. So don't be kind of put off by the 4 hours at all. You know, just if you learning as I said, because we might run out of budget, so it's better to come sooner rather than later if you need it at all.
Exactly, that's brilliant. And would the tuition this year be online or is it face-to-face?
Well, in that learning support form that we've been talking about, you can specify if you have a preference for face-to-face or online. We will facilitate face-to-face as much as possible, but it will be restricted, possibly to the first few sessions until you get to know the tutor, but it will be at 2 meters distance and with wearing face masks. So it may be hard to have tuition in that situation.
Yeah. And does the learning support cost anything?
It's free to register students, so no, there's no cost.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Marion.
Thank you, Rachel, and best of your studies, students.
Thank you. So next I'll be chatting to Noreen Keane, who's the head of counselling here in LIT. Hi Noreen, how are you?
Hi Rachel, very well, thank you. And just want to say welcome to all of our mature students.
Lovely. Right, Noreen, so how do I make an appointment for counselling and is there a cost?
Well, firstly, it is a free service to all registered students, and to make an appointment you can just email on counselling@lit.ie or click on the link register for counselling on the counselling web page. You can also phone us on 061 293 106.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you, Noreen. And like, what issues could be addressed in counselling?
Well, we always say like no issue is too big or too small, and any life issue that is impacting on your ability to focus on your studies, it's often useful to share your concerns with a neutral person, a professional who will help you work through those and support you.
Yeah. And like, how does the counselling service, how does it work?
Well, firstly, as I said, you register and then you complete an intake form. So that gives you like kind of your basic details. Then you'll receive an assessment session appointment. And that is really to get a kind of a detailed history of you and your story and what your concerns are and what you'd like to achieve in counselling. Then you're assigned to a member of the team for a block of sessions. And at the moment, we're mainly providing counselling by remote means via video and Microsoft Teams. We're also doing phone consultations as well.
Okay. And how many sessions could a student avail of?
Yeah, well, we do have a session limit because it tends to be a very busy service. So we say 6 sessions per student per academic year. But a bit like what Marion said, you know, there is a level of flexibility and some students require more than others. And some students dip in and out throughout their entire academic career. So we try not to be overly restrictive, but we try to be fair to everyone.
Perfect. And would attendance at counselling sessions go on a student's academic record?
No, it's private and confidential. It's often a real concern for people. However, sometimes it is appropriate for us to contact a department in support of a student. But this is always done with the student's consent. And it still doesn't go on a person's personal record. But maybe if somebody needs an extension or has suffered a trauma or that, they might need us to advocate for them and support them in terms of their issues.
Of course.
Okay.
That's everything, I think, Noreen. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Rachel.
So next up, we have Lorraine McCarthy, who is our super nurse. How are you, Lorraine?
Good, Rachel, thank you.
So how would you get an appointment with the health unit, Lorraine?
Yeah, so things have changed a little bit this year in that it's not a drop-in service anymore or a walk-in service. So you have to have a pre-booked appointment. So just to get a pre-booked appointment, you can just email us at nurses@lit.ie, or you can ring us on 061 293 106. And all that information is also on the website.
Brilliant. And how much would it cost to see you or the doctor?
So for nurses, all nurse appointments are free, be it, a physical consultation or just a phone consultation or advice, that's all free. And then if you are seeing the doctor, it will be €15.
Okay, brilliant. And could the LIT health unit doctor become my own GP?
No, not necessarily. So really it's an acute clinic, so just used for on-site or if someone is sick, in college accommodation or anything like that. And we will do a lot of, someone who's doing a routine prescription or a long-term prescription, that's fine. But it's just that there's a break in service, particularly when the college closes. So you wouldn't have medical personnel then. Okay. And really as well, just anyone with a long-term illness, they should kind of make us aware in the health unit so that if anything happens then during their time in LIT, we would be aware of what's going on.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Lorraine.
Super. Thank you.
So next up, I'm going to chat with, just ask Anna Fitzgerald, who is our Student Supports Coordinator on the Tipperary campuses, a few questions. How are you, Anna?
I'm good, Rachel, thank you. And you?
Good.
Good. I just also like to welcome on our mature students as well this year.
Lovely. So Anna, what is your role on the Tipperary campus?
Okay, so I suppose in my role in Tipperary, for the Tipperary, Thurles and Clonmel campuses, I coordinate the student support services. This means that I'm usually maybe their first point of contact in the student support services, and I arrange them to meet the service that they need. While I'm saying that, especially this year because everything is online, I would obviously, you're very welcome to email me at any stage, but I would also, remind students to keep an eye on the website and check. And if there's an email there or a link to the support you need, do email that, because obviously that's going to be the fastest way for you to get your appointment. We understand, of course, obviously, that it's often daunting for students that are out in college, so we're available to support those students throughout their time with us in LIT. And often students will need to make contact with one or more of the support services. So in that case, I would say to students to drop me an email, and I can either reply by email, or I can arrange a Zoom call or Teams meeting with them, and we can discuss things further. Maybe, decide, then from there on, I suppose, approach the services and the supports that they need as well.
Okay. And what student supports are available in Tipperary? So
we have the exact same supports available to the students on the other campuses as well, in Limerick, or rather at Limerick, in Thurles and Clonmel. Our student counsellor, Michael Ryan, and student chaplain, Father Tom Hearn, work with me solely on the Tipperary campuses, so they are designated for the Tipperary campuses. And while the rest of the student support services are based in Mileage, they visit our campuses regularly, and a meeting can be arranged for you to meet them at any time, just once you contact us and let us know that you want to meet them.
Okay, thank you. And is there a student leader present on the Tipperary campus this year?
There is indeed. We have a student leader this year. Our student leader is called Jenny Murphy, and Jenny has just graduated with a Bachelor of Business Honours degree from the Clonmel campus. So she will be dividing her time between Thurles and Clonmel for the first few weeks of your time here with us, and you'll see her on campus. She's very easily recognisable by her red student leader hoodie and gilet. And, you know, she had lots of information for you as a student. So those days that you're on campus, I would say to be sure and drop by and say hello to Jenny if you see her.
Lovely. And Anna, how can students contact you?
Okay, so the best way to contact me at the moment, because I suppose we're working remotely and at different stages and everything, so I would say the fastest and best way to contact me is to drop me an email at anna.fitzgerald@lit.ie.
Perfect. And if you're not on campus, they can still email you.
Absolutely, and any day that they're not on campus, any day, Monday to Friday, they can email me, or even if they want to email me over the weekend, I'll pick it up on Monday morning and I'll get it as well. So I'll answer the email as soon as possible during office hours for them.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Anna.
That's good, thank you, Rachel.
Very helpful. So now over to Teresa O'Sullivan, who is our pastoral care coordinator. How are you, Teresa?
Hi, Rachel. I'm fabulous. Thank you so much. And may I say, to concur with everybody else, welcome to all our students. I hope they see this.
Teresa, what service does the chaplaincy pastoral care coordinator provide? Okay,
so I'm the pastoral coordinator for the Limerick campuses, which is Moylish here, Ennis, Pallaskenry and the Art School. And Father Thomas Hearn then can't be with us today, but he's the chaplain for the Tipperary campuses, as Anna said there.
Okay.
Firstly, I'd like to say it's difficult this year because we would always promote our drop-in service and meeting in a confidential way, etc., like Noreen and everybody else was saying. But this year, unfortunately, it's all by email, which is a bit difficult. So firstly, the important thing is to say everything's on the email, LIT Pastoral Care Chaplaincy, and my name is teresa.o'sullivan@lit.ie, and then Father Tom is thomas.hearn@lit.ie. Basically, we would provide a confidential, safe environment for a bit of support, really, advice. We have an emergency fund for emergencies, and things do happen in life. We also have a situation whereby we may have bereavements. If anybody's sick in hospital, we would visit them. And I also coordinate the student leaders this year for the campuses with Anna Fitzgerald. So we have 3 here in Moylish, and you will see them, like Anna said, in their red outfits and their gilets, and they're buzzing around the place. So basically, I would say, Rachel, caring, safe environment, support, advice, and we're on our emails all the time.
Perfect. And how would a student contact you again?
So basically, email. I would say so, teresa.o'sullivan@lit.ie for the Limerick campuses, and then for Tipperary, it would be thomas.hearn, HEARNE, @lit.ie. And everything is on our website. As the lads were saying there, this year, guys, the website is king, because
they need to be checking their mails a lot.
Yeah, and keep checking the website because every single thing is up on the website.
Perfect. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Rachel.
Now we'll move over to Sarah Landy, who is the Deputy Librarian in Clare Street. So, hi Sarah, how are you? I can't hear you there, Sarah. You're just a tiny bit. No, like a little mouse. It sounds very distant, Sarah.
Sarah, if you put it on loudspeaker, that's what I did yesterday when I had a reception issue.
Will the loudspeaker work, Sarah? Oh. Okay. Will I leave it at that for the time being? I can't hear you. You're on mute, Caroline.
Would we suggest that we might just leave it there today for the mature students? And what I might suggest, Rachel, one thing I forgot to indicate earlier on is that we will be hosting a number of network meetings with our mature students across all the campuses. Obviously this year they will be online, but in those information sessions actually, which will be coming up in the next few weeks, I maybe suggest that if I could get the information from Sarah, if that's okay, and pass it on. So maybe anything that maybe Sarah has today, maybe she could give on to me and we could pass it on to the mature students who are listening in today. Sorry, Rachel, I forgot to mention as well, sorry, Rose O'Donovan, our disability officer, wasn't able to join us today. And Rose just has a message again for students is to keep in touch with the website and any students who experiences a disability with the email disability@lit.ie and their query will be answered there.
Perfect, thank you. So I think I just want to thank you all for your time and joining me today, and to our mature students, I just want to wish you the very best of luck in your studies over the next year. So, and if you have any queries, you can email mso@lit.ie. Thank you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.